So good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Extremely good.
Do you know that you are holy? Do you know that? You are holy. We're all holy. This place is holy. This church is holy. Last night I heard Donna Marie Carey sing with her group, and she sings this song, "You are holy, holy, holy." I'm like, thank you, Spirit, for giving me that as I was preparing for my talk yesterday. I got to take that in even deeper. So everything we see is holy. Just breathe that in for a moment. Breathe in the holiness of life. And how does it land? Does your mind want to deny it? That's not true. I have so many things in my life that I've messed up. I can't be holy. Does your gut fear it? Oh my gosh, if I'm holy, what does that mean? That means I got to step up to the plate and stand up here like Kathleen and speak? Or does your heart accept it? You know, what would it take for your heart to accept it? In Psalms 82:6, it says, "Ye are gods and the children of the Most High." And Jesus says it again in John 10:34 when he says, "Is it not written in your law that ye are gods?" And then in John 14:12, he says, "Anyone who has faith in me will do what I have been doing, and he will do even greater things than these." If you have faith in me, but does that mean faith in Jesus, or does it mean faith in the Christ? Does it mean faith in the holiness that everything is? So my inquiry started about a week and a half ago, maybe almost 2 weeks ago, and I was doing my Course in Miracles lesson for the day, and the Course in Miracles lesson is 156, and it says, "I walk with God in perfect holiness." And there were things I read in this lesson that just blew me away. And I've done these lessons before, but somehow this time it just went, oh my gosh, is that even possible? There is a light in you which cannot die, whose presence is so holy that the world is sanctified because of you. All things that live bring gifts to you and offer them in gratitude and gladness at your feet. The scent of flowers is their gift to you. The waves bow down before you, and the trees extend their arms to shield you from the heat and lay their leaves before you on the ground, that you may walk in softness while the wind sinks to a whisper around your holy head. The light in you is what the universe longs to behold. All living things are still before you, for they recognize who walks with you. The light you carry is their own, and thus they see in you their holiness. So I was very emotional when I read that. You know, I get up here and I share things. I don't want anybody to think I'm spouting my ego or anything. I'm just sharing my past, and that is, I've sat before saffron-robed masters, golden-robed masters, white-robed people, people in regular clothes like us, for years. And Jesus was my first teacher. I went to church because my grandmother, I loved her so much, I wanted to go to the same church my grandmother went to. So what if I just finally said, okay, I've heard it enough. I've heard it enough. When am I going to believe it? When am I going to take it in? When are we going to believe Jesus' words, or the words of some holy person, or the words of the Bible? When? When are we going to take it in? When will we finally accept it? There are teachers who woke up to their divine nature, and when someone asked them, how they did it or what happened. They simply said, I believed my teacher. My teacher told me the truth, and I believed them. How many teachers do we have to hear? How many? And I'm talking about myself. Will we believe Jesus or robed beings or Adyashanti or Gangaji or others? Or Paul, who said that we are holy and blameless in his sight, in God's sight. We are holy and blameless in his sight. There is no shame. There is no guilt. God loves us. So what does it take finally? Now those of you, I think everybody's heard me speak before, you know that once I have this journey of a talk, I start looking out around me and all these things start showing up. So first of all, I read this, I'm driving down the road and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is a talk after I read this. And I called Terry and I said, this is a 5-week month. I have a talk. Do you need somebody? He said, I already got somebody. But an hour ago, I decided I needed somebody else because I'm going to be in New York for a week. And I said, yeah. So here I am because Spirit brought us together. So I start paying attention. And so either that day that I'm driving down the road, I can't remember, it all kind of runs together. I read this bumper sticker. Usually it's license plate. Well, Spirit decided to stir it up a little bit. Last 2 times I told you license plates. This time I'm going to tell you bumper sticker. Dilemmas or solutions? That's the question. Surrender is the answer. Now that's a word that people just freak out about. Surrender. You know, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm just going to be living in this black nothingness? You know, is that what surrender means? It scares the heck out of us. So I'm sitting meditating one morning and I open my eyes after, you know, I've done my reading and stuff, and the bookshelf is right in front of me, and I look over there and I see something that my roommate had placed there that I hadn't seen in a while. And so I pick it up and go, I want to listen to these CDs again. It's Adyashanti, and he's just wonderful. He's a Zen teacher. And so I just turn it over, and here's this quote, and I'm like, okay, Spirit, thank you for guiding me to the bookcase. He says, you felt it your whole life. You've always known there's something inside of you that sought to be born fresh and real. Something far beyond your imagination trying to break out and be. Everyone feels this inside. But to allow life to express itself that way, with that much abandon, requires a true surrender. So what do we surrender to? You know, is it the black nothingness that we surrender to? I don't even believe that there's black nothingness after we die. I don't believe in the black nothingness. You might experience it in meditation sometimes, I don't know. So what do we surrender to? It can be different for everybody. But in context of this, we can surrender to our holiness. Surrender that the divine placed the seed of the Christ. Adyashanti wouldn't call it the Christ. Place the seed of reality in us before we took on this human birth. Place the light inside of us. The truth inside of us. That someday we would all recognize that that's who we are. And that we do walk with God. I've been blessed here in inner guidance for years, and it took me years to even get to the point of believing that it was for my good. And the Course in Miracles has helped me to understand that. So it's believing that we are holy, believing that this light is in us. I'm not ready to believe that things bow down before me because they don't bow down before this. oneself. It's the light in us that everyone wants to recognize that light within themselves. And so as we recognize it in ourselves, it helps others. They see it, they see that spark, and they want it, and then they believe in a possibility. So Spirit really shook it up this time. Drinking an honest tea, I don't always read them, read the little cap. What does the cap say? If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So just to make sure I got this, I got the exact same one this morning. And I've never gotten this one before, and I've gotten some over and over and over. So Spirit wanted to make sure that we got this one. If you want to go quickly, go alone. Well, I've been going alone enough. How about you? If you want to go far, go together. Do you want to walk with God? Do you want to recognize that God is already walking with you? You don't even have to call it God. You can call it universe. It doesn't have to have a name. So what do we surrender to? What are all the teachers saying is the truth, that you are a divine being, created and loved by the divine itself, one with it. The Course says in that lesson, the truth is we cannot be separate from our Creator. You cannot walk the world apart from God because you could not be without Him. He is what your life is. Where you are, He is. There is one life, and where He is, there must be holiness as well as life. So God walks with us, and if God walks with us, there must be holiness, which means holiness must be here too. It must be in this room. It must be everywhere. Okay, so Spirit had me change the ending of this talk this morning. That's why I wasn't quite here with all the great free time that I normally have. So as I'm preparing for this talk, I am looking through this wonderful book that I have called Love Poems from God. And it's, usually I quote Hafez. He's my favorite Sufi. But I'm in the beginning, and the very first one is, I think you say it, Rafia. And she is the first Sufi poet known about. First female Sufi poet. And she talks about having a pet name for God. And she says in this poem that she has a pet name for God, and she tells no one. And that struck a chord in me that won't let go. I can't say I have a pet name yet, but what I can say is that I have decided, by giving this talk, by preparing for this talk, that God is the greatest love of my life. I'm deciding to believe my teachers. Today, I stand before you and claim this, and I wish that you would join me. I ask that you join me. To just put down all the doubts, all the craziness, all the disbelief, and know that they're right. How much longer do we have to suffer? I don't know about you, but I'm tired. I'm really tired of suffering. So I ask you to join me in believing that the divine is the greatest love of our life. And what gives me such joy whenever I think about that is that I know He will never leave me. I will never be left alone, and I'm never alone. So I will read from this book, but I'm going to read to you Master Eckhart. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. St. Thomas Aquinas. It's called Ask Anything. Ask anything, my Lord said to me, And my mind and heart thought deeply for a second and replied with one word: when. God's arms then opened up and I entered myself. I entered myself when I entered Christ. And having learned compassion, I allowed my soul to stay. I ask that you join me in entering the divine's arms. And knowing that you're holy enough to stay there. And to come back whenever we forget. This course lesson ends with a question that we could ask ourselves 1,000 times a day. Who walks with me? I'm choosing to take it a step further and say, I know you walk with me. I'm not going to question anymore. I may forget, but I can't forget this moment. I have people in my life, like that beautiful lady over there, that's going to remind me. Do you know what you said, Kathleen? She will remind me if I forget, and Spirit inside will remind me. And so, you are holy. We're all holy. And God walks with us and will never leave us, whether we are aware of it or not. And if you say today, when,